important to be here today to show solidarity with the Egyptian people and the horrible continuous violation of human rights which we are witnessing in Egypt, and also these executions which happen without a fair trial. And this is something which in Italy has, in a way, mobilized also a lot of political attention by the public opinion following the Giulio Regeni case. Giulio Regeni was an Italian student studying in the UK, which was doing PhD and doing a field trip in Egypt, and was kidnapped, tortured, and killed by the Egyptian security forces. And this is an event which made the Italian public aware and discover what's happening in Egypt and in the Egypt of Al-Sisi, with continuous violation of human rights, which is going at a faster pace that used to happen under even Mubarak years. After that, the Italian and the European politics decided to react. At the European level, we have seen at least 4 resolutions by the European Parliament condemning the actions of Egypt. The same has happened from the Italian Parliament. The Italian Parliament has even instituted a parliamentary investigative committee on the death of Giulio Regeni, which I was a member of for 2 years, and has found out in the end that it's pretty clear that there's a wide array of evidence showing that the Egyptian security forces have been responsible. And these parliamentary work gave us also an understanding of the horrible vastity of human rights abuses which are happening. And it's important for the international community to realize that, as you mentioned, Egypt remains an important country, an important ally for Western countries for a number of reasons, which goes from an ally against terrorism activities, also to the management of migration flows. But this should not in any way exempt us from condemning this brutal and terrible behavior towards its own population. And so it's very important to maintain pressure and attention. That's why we are trying to participate and to put pressure on this, even though it's not easy. It's not easy to try to invent or to find new instruments which are not going to attack the population, but are going to punish the regime. This is a reason why Italy suspended its own ambassador from Egypt for 1 year and a half, but then sent it back. I saw that even Turkey recently reopened the relationship with Egypt. But it's very important to maintain the pressure on the regime in Cairo to, if not to implement regime change, which of course this is a topic which is to be discussed by the Egyptian people, but at least to try to hold them accountable. At the moment, we are trying to do our own part. I'm using the Regeni case, Mr. Hamed, just as a prism of what's going on. I'm sorry if I'm speaking for too long, but another couple of minutes before finishing my intervention. We, thanks to the Italian investigative authorities, we have the names and surnames of the 5 security officers which we think have been responsible for the Giulio Regeni massacres. They're all members of Egyptian national security. And we know that Egypt did sign the UN Convention against torture, or the 1984 Convention against torture, and also signed is a member of International Court of Justice. And so we think there are the elements for Italy to try to implement a case against Egypt in this arena. Of course, again, I'm not talking about just Giulio Regeni is the example for which I'm here with you today, but he's an example of the dozens of young journalists, activists, or normal Egyptians which are disappearing every day with unofficial arrests and executions without fair trial. And I think it's very important to keep attention, international attention on it, and we will try to do our fair duty. And I will finish on this point. We have seen some kind of activism from a parliamentary side, as I said before. What we have not seen is any kind of action from the government side. So, for example, the European Council has discussed the matter of Egypt, but has not really undertaken any practical conclusion or any practical initiative towards Al-Sisi. Quite the opposite, we have seen some countries like France awarding some medals to Al-Sisi, la Légion d'honneur. And so this is something which, at a political level, has to make us think what we have to do as politicians to exert even more pressure on Egypt imposing them the respect of human rights. And I conclude on this. We're going to discuss this thing at the Italian Parliament in a couple of weeks. We are going to have a hearing with a few different Egyptian and Arab NGOs which are active in the fields of human rights, and we are going to try some of the activities we are trying to adopt in order to keep the attention of the public on this very important issue.